The morning sun shone through the small window of the Seoul apartment. 8-year-old Tai-min sat on the floor playing with his toy spaceship. He made whooshing sounds as he flew it around the room. Tai-min, come eat breakfast, his mother Sun-hee called from the kitchen. The boy ran to the table where his mother had prepared rice and soup. Sun-hee looked tired. She had been working long hours at the Space Research Center. Ever since Earth joined the Galactic Council 2 years ago, everything had changed. Mom, when will I see real spaceships? Tai-min asked, taking a big bite of rice. Sun-hee smiled, but her eyes looked sad. Maybe someday, little one. She did not tell him that today might be that day. The letter from the government sat hidden in her desk drawer. The letter that would change everything. 3 hours later, black cars arrived outside their building. Men in dark suits knocked on their door. Sun-hee opened it with shaking hands. Mrs. Park. Sun-hee, we are here for the boy, said the tall man in front. Tai-min looked up from his toys. Are you space people? He asked with bright eyes. The man looked uncomfortable. We need to take him now. Please, Sun-hee whispered. He is just a child. There must be another way. The council has decided. Earth must give tribute like all other worlds. The lottery chose your son. Sun-hee fell to her knees. She had studied the other alien races for months. She knew what tribute meant. Other worlds gave medals or energy. But Earth's leaders had decided that children were their most precious thing. I don't understand, she said through tears. Why children? Why not gold or oil or... The council wants what each world values most, the man replied. Earth's leaders said children are our greatest treasure. Tai-min walked over and hugged his mother. It's okay, Mom. Are we going to space? The boy did not understand. To him, this was an adventure. Sun-hee held him tight, breathing in his scent, trying to remember everything about this moment. At the Space Center, Ambassador Do-hyun waited with a heavy heart. He had fought against this decision for weeks. The other council members had laughed at him. Your species is new and weak, they had said. You will follow the old ways. Do-hyun watched as the cars arrived. When he saw little Tai-min step out, looking around with wonder at the rockets and buildings, his heart broke. Wow, this place is huge, Tai-min said, running toward a display of alien artifacts. Are these from other planets? Yes, Do-hyun said quietly. They are. The boy's eyes grew wide. Will I meet aliens? Are they nice? Do-hyun could not answer. He had met many aliens in his 2 years as Earth's representative. Most saw humans as primitive creatures. They would not understand why this felt so wrong. Inside the preparation room, scientists worked to get Tai-min ready. They gave him a special suit that would protect him in space. They explained that he would go on a very important trip. Where am I going? Tai-min asked, spinning around. In his new silver suit. To meet someone very important, said Dr. Kim, trying to keep his voice steady. An alien king? Something like that. Tai-min clapped his hands. This is the best day ever. The adults in the room looked away. None of them could watch his joy, knowing what they were about to do. Meanwhile, in the control room, Sun-hee stood behind a glass wall. She wore her scientist coat, but her hands shook as she held her tablet. The other researchers avoided her eyes. The transport ship is ready, announced the flight director. Departure in 30 minutes. Sun-hee ran to the preparation room. I need to say goodbye. The guards let her pass. She knelt down and hugged Tai-min tight. I love you so much, she whispered in his ear. I love you too, Mom. Don't worry, I'll be brave. I know you will. You are the bravest boy in the whole universe. Tai-min pulled back and looked at her face. Why are you crying? Because I'm proud of you, she said, wiping her tears. Remember, no matter what happens, you are special. You are human, and that means something. The boy nodded seriously. I'll remember. 2 hours later, the transport ship lifted off from Earth. Tai-min pressed his face against the small window, watching his home planet get smaller and smaller. Goodbye. Earth, he called out, waving. The ship's captain, a stern woman named Commander HFY, watched from the bridge. She had orders to deliver the boy to the meeting point, but something felt wrong about this whole mission. "Captain," said her second officer, "long-range sensors show the Council fleet gathering near the Hunger Gate." HFY nodded. The Hunger Gate was a mysterious structure at the edge of space. No one knew who built it or why. They only knew that every 50 years, the great beast that lived there would wake up. And when it woke up, it was hungry. The journey took 3 days. During that time, Taemin asked questions about everything. He wanted to know how the ship worked, what the aliens looked like, and why space was so dark. "Will the beast be scary?" he asked on the second day. The crew members looked at each other. They had not told him the truth about where he was going. "Maybe a little," said the engineer, a kind man named Won-sik. "But you're brave, right?" "Very brave," Taemin said, puffing out his chest. On the third day, they reached the meeting point. Hundreds of ships from different worlds floated in space. Taemin stared in wonder at the strange designs. Some ships looked like crystals, others like living creatures. "So many aliens," he said excitedly. Commander HFY received a message from the flagship. "All tribute bearers report to the ceremonial platform." Taemin was placed in a small pod designed for one person. Through the clear walls, he could see the alien representatives gathering. They were all different shapes and sizes. Some had tentacles, others had fur or scales. The largest ship belonged to Council Prime Veltar, an ancient being that looked like a walking tree with glowing eyes. When he spoke, his voice echoed through every ship's communication system. "Today, we continue the ancient tradition," Veltar announced. "Each world offers its most precious gift to the Great Devourer. This keeps our galaxy safe from its hunger." Taemin waved at the aliens through his pod window. Some of them pointed at him and made strange sounds. He did not know they were talking about how small and weak humans looked. "The newest member of our Council Earth presents their offering," Veltar continued. Ambassador Do-hyun's voice came over the radio, shaking with emotion. Earth offers young Taemin Park." The boy heard his name and smiled. He was part of something important. But in the distance, something massive began to move. The Hunger Gate, a structure bigger than any moon, started to open. From within came a darkness so deep it seemed to swallow light itself. "The Great Devourer awakens," whispered Veltar. "Let the feeding begin." Taemin's pod was released from the ship. As it drifted toward the enormous opening, the boy pressed his hands against the glass and looked back at all the pretty ships with their blinking lights. "This is amazing," he said to himself. "Wait until I tell Mom about this." He had no idea that his mother was watching from millions of miles away, crying as his pod disappeared into the darkness. He did not know that everyone expected him to die. But Taemin was not afraid. He was excited. He was about to meet something incredible, and he could not wait to see what would happen next. The pod vanished into the black and the Hunger Gate began to close. All the alien ships waited for the usual quick flash of light that meant the Devourer was satisfied. But this time something different happened. The gate began to glow. Energy readings spiked higher than ever before. And deep within the darkness, something ancient began to stir in ways it had not stirred for 1,000 years. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not like other species, and one small boy was about to change everything. Taemin's pod drifted through the darkness inside the Hunger Gate. The boy pressed his face against the glass, trying to see where he was going. Strange lights flickered in the distance like fireflies. "Hello?" he called out, his voice echoing in the small space. "Is anyone there?" Outside the gate, all the alien ships waited. Their sensors showed energy readings that made no sense. Usually, the tribute disappeared quickly. The Great Devourer would feed and then sleep for 50 more years. But this time was different. Commander HFY stood on her ship's bridge, watching the readings spike higher and higher. "What's happening in there?" she whispered. "Unknown, Captain," replied her officer. "Energy levels are 10 times higher than normal." On Earth, Sun He sat in the control room. staring at the screens. Tears ran down her face, but she could not look away. Her little boy was somewhere in that darkness. Maybe he's okay, said Dr. Kim, trying to comfort her. Maybe. No, son, he said quietly. No one comes back from the devourer. But she was wrong. Inside the gate, Taemin's pod suddenly stopped moving. The darkness around him began to change. Soft blue light appeared, like being underwater in a peaceful lake. The pod's doors opened with a gentle hiss. Taemin stepped out, onto something that felt like grass. He looked around in wonder. He was in a huge space, bigger than any building he had ever seen. Above him, a sky showed stars he did not recognize. Under his feet, the ground was covered with plants that glowed softly. Wow, he said, spinning in a circle. This is beautiful. But something was wrong with this place. Many of the glowing plants looked sick. Some areas had no plants at all, just empty dirt. In the distance, he could see what looked like the ruins of old buildings. Hello, small one. Taemin jumped. The voice came from everywhere at once, like it was inside his head. Who's there? He asked, not scared but curious. I have forgotten my true name. For so long they have called me the Devourer. Are you the big creature everyone was talking about? Yes, child. You are my tribute. My food. Taemin thought about this. You don't sound very scary. Are you hungry? There was a long pause. Yes. I am always hungry. But not for food like you might think. The boy walked forward, looking at the dying plants. This place looks sad. Are you sad too? Sad? The voice sounded surprised. I had not thought of it that way. Yes, small one. I am very sad. Taemin sat down on the glowing grass and patted the ground next to him. My mom says when you're sad it helps to talk to someone. Do you want to talk? Another long pause. Then, slowly, a shape began to form in front of him. It looked like a person made of starlight, tall and gentle. You are not afraid of me, the entity said. Should I be? You seem nice. Nice? The starlight figure laughed, a sound like wind chimes. Child, do you know why you are here? The adult said I was going to meet someone important. They said Earth needed to give a gift to keep everyone safe. The entity's light grew dimmer. A gift. Yes, that is what they call it. But you are not a gift, small one. You are meant to be my meal. Taemin's eyes grew wide. You eat people? That is what they believe. That is what I have been forced to do for so very long. Forced? Who forces you? The starlight figure pointed toward the sky. Through the strange atmosphere, Taemin could see the shapes of all the waiting spaceships. They do. The ones who call themselves the Galactic Council. Long ago they trapped me here. They made me forget who I really was. Every 50 years they bring me someone to consume. It keeps me weak. It keeps me from remembering. Taemin stood up and walked closer to the entity. That's mean. Why don't you just leave? I cannot. They have built this prison well. The Hunger Gate responds only to their commands. I have been here for thousands of years. The boy reached out his hand toward the starlight figure. What's your real name? When his small hand touched the entity's light, something amazing happened. The dying plants around them began to glow brighter. New flowers sprouted from the ground. The air itself seemed to sparkle with life. I remember, the entity gasped. My name isn't the Life-Bringer. Life-Bringer? That's a much better name than Devourer. Yes, I brought life to empty worlds. I helped civilizations grow and learn. I was a gardener of the galaxy. More memories flooded back as Taemin kept his hand on the entity's light. The boy could see pictures in his mind. Beautiful worlds covered with strange and wonderful creatures, all created by the Life-Bringer. But they were afraid, the Life-Bringer continued. The old council, the ancestors of those who wait outside. They thought I was too powerful. They thought I would replace them. So they locked you up and made everyone think you were a monster? Yes. And they created the tribute system to keep me weak. Each person they fed to me, it hurt to consume them, but I had no choice. It was consume them or die myself. Taemin felt very angry. That's not fair, you were just trying to help. You are different from the others, small one. The others who came before were afraid. They gave up hope quickly. But you, I'm not afraid, Taemin said firmly. And I don't give up. My mom says humans are stubborn that way. The Lifebringer laughed again, and the sound was happier this time. Yes, I can feel it. Your species is young, but you have something the Yao others have lost. What? Hope. Curiosity. The willingness to grow and change. Most species become set in their ways after they discover space travel. But humans, you are still becoming something new. Taemin looked around at the garden that was slowly coming back to life. Can I help you fix this place? Child, I have been alone for so long. No one has ever offered to help me. Well, I'm offering. I'm good at fixing things. I help my mom with her computer all the time. The Lifebringer's light grew brighter. Yes. Yes. I think you can help. But first we must deal with those waiting outside. Through their connection, Taemin could sense the panic spreading through the alien fleets. The energy readings were still climbing. Some ships were already preparing to run away. They're scared, Taemin observed. They should be. For the first time in millennia, I am remembering my true power. I am becoming myself again. Outside the gate, Council Prime Veltar's voice boomed across all frequencies. Something is wrong. The Devourer's patterns are completely changed, Commander. Haewon gripped the rails of her bridge. Should we retreat? No, came Ambassador Do-hyun's voice from the diplomatic ship. If something has gone wrong, if Taemin is still alive in there, I won't abandon him. But even as he spoke, Do-hyun feared the worst. The energy reading suggested the beast was becoming more powerful than ever before. Maybe feeding it a human child had been a terrible mistake. Inside the Lifebringer's realm, Taemin was busy, exploring. The entity watched in amazement as the boy fearlessly examined the ancient ruins and tried to understand how everything worked. These machines look broken, Taemin said, poking at a crystalline device. What did they do? They helped me create life. Plants, animals, entire ecosystems. Can we fix them? We can try. But child, you must understand, if I become fully awakened, if I remember all of my power, things will change. The galaxy will never be the same. Taemin looked up at him with bright eyes. Will the changes be good? I believe so. But change frightens most people. My mom says change can be scary, but it's also how we grow up. The Lifebringer knelt down to the boy's level. You are very wise for one so young. I'm not wise, Taemin giggled. I'm just curious. Perhaps they are the same thing. As they worked together to repair the ancient machines, the Lifebringer felt strength returning that he had not experienced in eons. Each moment with this remarkable human child brought back more memories, more power, more hope. And outside, the alien fleets watched in growing terror as the Hunger Gate began to change. The dark portal was becoming brighter. Energy poured from it like water from a dam about to break. It's going to emerge, whispered Veltar. After all these years, the Devourer is going to leave its prison. What none of them realized was that, when it emerged, it would not be the same creature they had imprisoned so long ago. Thanks to one brave human boy, the Lifebringer was about to return to the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same again. 3 hours had passed since Taemin entered the Lifebringer's realm. The boy worked happily alongside his new friend, fixing ancient machines and asking endless questions. How old are you? Taemin asked, connecting 2 crystal wires. I am not sure. Time moves strangely here. Perhaps 1,000,000 of your years? Maybe more. Wow, you're really, really old. The Lifebringer laughed. Yes, I suppose I am. As they worked, more of the realm came back to life. Trees grew taller, flowers, bloomed in impossible colors, and streams of clear water began to flow again. But the most amazing change was in the Lifebringer itself. Its starlight form grew brighter and more solid. "I can feel my strength returning," it said, flexing fingers that now looked almost real. "Your presence heals something in me that was broken." What was broken? Hope. Purpose. The will to create instead of destroy. Taemin found a room filled with floating orbs of light. Each one showed a different world. Some were green and blue like Earth. Others were red or purple or covered in ice. "Did you make all of these?" he asked. "Yes. Long ago I traveled from star to star, bringing life wherever I went. Dead worlds became gardens. Empty space became filled with wonder." The boy watched the orbs spin slowly. "They're beautiful. Why? Did the aliens get scared of you?" The Lifebringer's expression grew sad. "Because I gave life to everyone equally. I did not play favorites. The old rulers wanted to control who got help and who did not. They wanted to be the only ones with power. That's not fair." "No, it is not. But they were afraid of losing control, so they tricked me into this prison and told everyone I was a monster." Taemin touched one of the orbs. Inside he saw creatures that looked like butterflies the size of houses, flying through crystal forests. "Can we bring life to more worlds?" he asked. "If we can escape this place, yes, but first we need to show the galaxy the truth." Outside, the alien fleets were in chaos. The Hunger Gate was changing rapidly. Its dark surface now pulsed with golden light. Energy readings had reached levels that broke their instruments. Commander Heywan received urgent messages from Earth. "Captain, we have orders to retreat immediately." "I'm not leaving without the boy," she replied firmly. "Captain, our sensors show something massive is about to emerge from the gate. If it's hostile, then we'll deal with it, but I won't abandon a child." On the flagship, Council Prime Veltar called an emergency meeting. Representatives from dozens of worlds appeared as holograms, all talking at once. "The Devourer has never behaved like this. The energy readings suggest it's breaking free. We should have never accepted tribute from such a primitive world." Veltar raised his branches for silence. "The human offering has clearly triggered something unexpected. We must prepare for the worst." But Ambassador Do Hyun, listening from his smaller ship, had a different thought. What if this was not the worst? What if humanity had done something right? Inside the realm, Taemin and the Lifebringer had finished repairing the main control systems. The garden around them now bloomed with incredible beauty. Rivers flowed, birds sang, and the air smelled like flowers after rain. "It's time," the Lifebringer said. "Are you ready to show the galaxy who I really am?" Taemin nodded eagerly. "Will it be scary? Perhaps, change usually is. But you have taught me that being scared is okay as long as you keep moving forward." "My mom taught me that too." The Lifebringer smiled. "Your mother sounds very wise. I hope to meet her someday." Will, I'll introduce you." Together they walked to the center of the realm. There, a massive crystal grew from the ground like a tree made of light. The Lifebringer placed its hands on the crystal, and Taemin did the same. "This is the heart of my power," the Lifebringer explained. "With this, I can reach across space and bring life to any world. What do you want me to do? Just be yourself, be human, be curious and brave and full of hope. That is enough." As their hands touched the crystal together, everything changed. The Hunger Gate exploded outward in a burst of golden light. But instead of the dark monster everyone expected, something beautiful emerged. The Lifebringer appeared in space as a being of pure starlight, with Taemin floating safely beside it in a bubble of protective energy. The alien fleets immediately powered up their weapons, but nothing happened when they fired. The energy beams simply disappeared into the Lifebringer's light. "Do not fear," the Lifebringer's voice echoed through every ship's communication system. "I am not here to destroy. I am here to restore." Council Prime. Veltar's voice crackled with panic. "Impossible, the Devourer cannot speak, it only feeds." "I am not the Devourer," came the gentle reply. "I am the Lifebringer, and this brave child has helped me remember who I truly am." Taemin waved at all the ships around them. Even in the middle of this cosmic event, he was excited to see so many different spacecraft up close. "Hi, everyone." His voice carried across all frequencies. "Don't be scared, my friend is really nice." The alien representative stared in shock. The human child was alive. Not only alive, but somehow communicating with the entity they had feared for millennia. "You have lied to the galaxy for far too long," the Lifebringer continued, its voice now carrying power that made space itself vibrate. "You told them I was a monster that demanded tribute, but the truth is you imprisoned me to keep your power. That's not—" Veltar started. Silence. The Lifebringer's light pulsed. "I remember everything now. How you tricked me into the gate. How you forced me to consume the innocent to stay alive. How you built your empire on the fear of my supposed hunger." Around them, dead solar systems that had been lifeless for eons suddenly began to change. Planets that had been cold rocks started to warm. Atmospheres formed from nothing. On the surfaces, the first plants began to grow. "Behold," the Lifebringer said. "This is what I truly do. I create. I nurture. I bring hope to the hopeless." The alien crews watched their instruments in amazement. Worlds that had been written off as worthless were transforming into gardens. The energy was not destructive, it was creative. "But the tributes," whispered a representative from the Zephyrian Empire. "If you didn't want to eat them, why did you accept them?" Taemin answered before the Lifebringer could speak. "Because you never gave him a choice. You locked him up and said he had to eat people or die. That's really mean." The boy's simple words hit harder than any complex explanation. Across the fleet's crew members began to understand the horrible truth of what their civilizations had been doing. Commander Haywan activated her communications. "Taemin, are you okay, son?" "I'm great, Captain. I made a new friend and we fixed his garden and now we're going to help lots of planets." "The child speaks truth," the Lifebringer said. "Humans possess something most of your species have forgotten. They embrace change. They ask questions. They offer help instead of demanding tribute." A younger representative from the Kalani Federation raised her voice. "If this is true, if you really are a creator and not a destroyer, then our entire history is a lie," finished Ambassador Doyun. "We've been feeding innocent people to a prisoner, not a monster." The Lifebringer began to move through space, and wherever it went, miracles followed. Dead stars reignited. Barren moons sprouted forests. Empty space filled with clouds of new matter that would someday become worlds. "This is what I offer the galaxy," it said. "Not death, but life. Not fear, but hope. Not control, but cooperation." Veltar's ancient voice shook with rage and fear. "You cannot simply overturn millions of years of order." "I can, and I will," the Lifebringer replied calmly. "The age of ruling through fear is ending. The age of growing through hope begins now." "What about us?" asked a captain from the Helix Confederacy. "What happens to those who have enforced the old ways?" Taemin spoke up again. "My teacher says everyone deserves a second chance if they're sorry and want to do better." The Lifebringer's light warmed with approval. "The child is wise. I offer forgiveness to those who choose to change. But those who insist on the old ways, of control and fear, they will find themselves left behind as the galaxy grows beyond them." Some ships began to retreat, their crews unable to accept such a massive change. But others moved closer, curious about this new possibility. "How do we know you won't become a tyrant yourself?" asked a brave voice from the Crystal Alliance. "Because," Taemin said proudly, "friends don't let friends be mean to people. And I'm his friend now." The Lifebringer laughed, a sound like solar wind through cosmic dust. "Yes, this remarkable child will help keep me on the right path. And there will be others like him. Humans have a gift for seeing possibilities where others see only problems." 6 months later, Taemin sat in his favorite spot in the Lifebringer's new mobile garden. They no longer stayed trapped in one place. Instead, they traveled from world to world, bringing life wherever it was needed. The boy had grown taller and stronger during their journey. His eyes now held tiny flecks of starlight, a gift from his cosmic friend. But he was still the same curious, kind child who had walked fearlessly into the darkness. "Taman," the Lifebringer called, "we have visitors." The boy looked up from the alien flower he was studying. Through the garden's transparent dome, he could see familiar ships approaching. "Mom," he shouted, recognizing Earth's diplomatic vessel. Sun-Hee stepped out of the transport shuttle with tears in her eyes. Her son ran to her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "I missed you so much," she whispered, holding him tight. "I missed you too. But wait until you see everything I learned." Taman pulled his mother through the garden, showing her plants from 100 different worlds. He introduced her to the Lifebringer, who had taken the form of a kind-looking man with gentle eyes. "Thank you," Sun-Hee said to the entity. "Thank you for keeping him safe." "I should thank him," the Lifebringer replied. "He saved me in ways I am still discovering." Ambassador Do-hyun and Commander Hae-won joined them in the garden. The past 6 months had changed everything in the galaxy. "The old Galactic Council has dissolved," Do-hyun reported. "Most of the member worlds want to join your new alliance." "It is not my alliance," the Lifebringer corrected. "It belongs to everyone who chooses cooperation over control." They had named it the Growing Alliance. Instead of demanding tribute, member worlds shared knowledge and resources. Instead of fearing change, they embraced it. "How many worlds have joined?" Sun-Hee asked. "Over 300 so far," Commander Hae-won answered. "And more every day." Taman tugged on his mother's lab coat. "Mom, want to see the really cool part?" He led them to an observation deck where they could see space around them. Dozens of worlds floated nearby, all connected by streams of golden light. Each world was different, some covered in purple oceans, others with silver mountains that reached into space. "We're growing a whole new solar system," Taman explained excitedly. "People from different worlds can visit each other and share their ideas." "It's incredible," Sun-Hee breathed. A young woman approached them. She had blue skin and 4 arms, but her smile was completely human-like. "Hello, I'm Jin-A from the Kalani Federation," she said. "I'm studying how to help barren worlds develop life." "She's really smart," Taman told his mother. She figured out how to make plants that can grow in space. More beings joined them. Some looked like walking crystals, others like friendly dragons. All of them worked together, learning from each other. "This is what the galaxy could always have been," the Lifebringer said quietly, "if fear had not ruled for so long." "What about the worlds that didn't join?" Sun-Hee asked. "They watch from a distance," Do-hyun replied. "Some are starting to change their minds. Others," he shrugged. "They're free to choose their own path." That evening, they held a celebration in the garden. Beings from dozens of different worlds shared food, music, and stories. Taman sat with a group of young aliens, teaching them Earth games. "You know what I learned?" he told them. "Everyone is different, but everyone wants to be happy and safe and loved." A small creature that looked like a flying cat nodded eagerly. "Yes, on my world we have a saying, different flowers make the garden beautiful." The Lifebringer watched from nearby, its heart full of joy. This was what it had always dreamed of, not just life, but community. Not just growth, but friendship. Later, as Taemin prepared for sleep in his new room on the garden ship, his mother tucked him in. "Are you happy here?" she asked. "Very happy." "But Mom?" "Yes?" "I want to go back to Earth sometimes too, to visit my friends and see my room." Sun-Hee smiled. "Of course. Earth will always be your home." "Actually," Taemin said thoughtfully, "I think maybe the whole galaxy is my home now." The Lifebringer appeared in the doorway, now looking like a gentle grandfather made of starlight. "He is right," it said softly. "Humans have a gift for making anywhere feel like home. That is why the galaxy needs them." As Taemin drifted off to sleep, he dreamed of all the worlds he would visit, all the friends he would make, and all the wonders he would discover. Outside, the growing alliance continued its work. Ships arrived daily, bringing beings who wanted to be part of something new and hopeful. The Lifebringer guided them gently, but the real leadership came from individuals like Taimin, beings who saw possibilities instead of problems. The old galaxy had been ruled by fear and controlled by the powerful. The new galaxy was guided by hope and shaped by the curious, and at the center of it all was one small human boy who had walked into darkness without fear and brought back the light. The universe would never be the same, and that was exactly as it should be. Years later, when Taimin was grown up and had children of his own, they would ask him how he had changed the galaxy. "I didn't change anything," he would tell them with a smile. "I just made a friend who needed help remembering who he really was." And that perhaps was the most human thing of all.